I'm going to hit that. I'm going to get my pre-stream started.
Sitting there waiting, twiddling my thumbs. The stream should have started by now. It's nearly 1. I've been catching his shows since back in '93. But these delays got me wondering, where could that UB be? I got the blues rock pumping through my veins. The juke is taking his time, it's driving me insane. I need that riff and them those soulful lips. But these delays got me wondering, what's causing UB's tricks? UB, won't you please start your stream? I've been waiting here, it's like a bad dream. Don't make me beg, just strum that guitar and ease my aching head. Well, you be with your epic beat so fine, and your hair flowing down like a waterfall divine. You're a twin streamer with a heart of steel, but it's fate that makes your senses real. With each bite you take a trip to the stars. The sizzle of the grill, it heals your battle scars. A love affair between man and meat. Your passion for steak can't be beat you, yeah. Oh yeah. You will be, you're a meat lover through and through. You crave that sizzling flavor, it's true. With your hair and your beard so wild, you're the steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. You're a steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. When the moon rises high and bright, you wield your fork like a knight in needy fight. The grill becomes your battlefield, flames ablaze. And the steak, oh the steak, it's your trophy, your praise. Ooh yeah. You'll be, you're a meat lover through and through. You crave that sizzling flavor, it's true. With your hair and your beard so wild, you're the steak-loving heartthrob of the twin stream. dreams come true. Waiting for you this stream to start. It's gonna be so cool. The chat room's buzzing, the excitement's in the air. Everyone's jamming to the rockin' beats we share. Come on. Guitars wailing, drums crashing loud and clear. Loud and clear. UB Stream is the place where we all belong, my dear. Rockin' in the chat room, let the music play. UB's Twitch stream gonna brighten up our day. Brighten up our day. We're a family united, bringing joy and cheer. Joy and cheer. Rockin' in the chat room, feel the love right here. The countdown's ticking, anticipation rising high. Rising high. With every second passing, we're ready to fly. From all around the world, we gather near and far to share in the moments under UB streaming star. Rocking in the chat room, let the music play. UB's Twitch stream gonna brighten up our day. Brighten up our day. We're a family united, bringing joy and cheer. Joy and cheer. Rocking in the chat room, feel the love right here. Right here.
The following film is presented in its complete theatrical version. It was rated R by the MPAA and may not be appropriate for children under 17. It is rated TV MA LSV and contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
I like steak. Oh, they do that on Wednesdays here.
Now, check it out! Vanilla Thunder in the house! Dusted, ready for bed, button full of bars flowing from its head. Got hair flowing and long. Beats dropping jokes and songs of bomb. Oh, tired, kinda like milk that's expired. Vanilla Thunder from the plains of Texas. Vanilla Thunder is coming Lexus. Vanilla Thunder, big catastrophe. That's just who he is. Our boy UV.
That's right, don't adjust your sets. I have control of the horizontal and vertical controls. I'm not in control of anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. It is Ruby. It's a Saturday. Welcome to the Embrace the Soft Song podcast. Let's get the theme song out of there. And hopefully the AI is killing the sound of sirens going off behind me right now, seeing as it is time for our monthly test of our emergency alert system here in central Iowa, which is, we are pretty much in the heart of the tornado alley. So that is a good thing. I'm glad those sirens work. It's just not the best timing, but I'm okay. As you can see, the fan's not even on. We are a super comfortable day today. Sun is shining. Everything is going great. And joining us on the show for the podcast today is a member of our community that people, I guarantee you know, because he has been in all of the chats. Just like a lot of the rest of us, is just flat out in every one of the chats. Kind of like me. I can't say that I blame him. Also, if you have checked out his channel, he's got some really good songs on there. And I would consider him a creator, even if he doesn't consider him a creator. But he is definitely a member of this community, whether you want to consider him a creator or not. It is somebody you would know by the name of AKA Snug Drawerson. I know him as Timothy, but that's because I know him behind the scenes. But Snug, it is good to see you, and it's good to finally meet you in the flesh. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And yeah, there's enough Timothys. So I had the same problem in college. So my friends there just called me TL. Just went by my initials, but you can call me whatever. TL's fine. Snug's fine. Tim's fine. We are rich in Timothys in the guitar community, so
we have plenty of them. There is no question about that. And if you do hear a little bit of an issue with the audio, I am aware of it. There is, and that's actually on my end, not on Snug's end. I'm working out a kink on a limiter on that, so I think I might have gotten a click taken care of. So a little bit of a clickiness there, and I am having a little bit of possibly some internet issues today. So if you do see some buffering, just be patient, people. It's part of that suck. You need to reach out and embrace it. So Snug, tell me about the same thing I've asked everybody that I've interviewed so far. Tell me about how you got your start in music in general and guitar specifically.
Okay. I do not come from a musical family. Music was present in the house, but it was, my mom listening to Beach Boys or the Beatles, or my dad listening to James Brown or Wilson Pickett. Very eclectic exposure to music when I was young. After college, I got involved with a campus ministry on Pittsburgh State University campus, and started out, I'd help put away chairs and whatnot, and then kind of merged into helping run sound for the worship band. I got to be friends with all of them, and the couple that were in charge, they went one summer, they went overseas to do a short-term mission, and they let me borrow their bass guitar. And so I took it home, and the guy that led worship with my friend Jeff hung around that summer, and we would hang out, and he would try to show me a little thing, and just fooling around and trying to learn on my own. And they got back at the end of the summer, and they said, we want to go out and take you out for lunch. So So they took me out for lunch and they said, well, we've decided you're going to be the bass player this year. And I said, well, I said, I don't really know how to play bass. You know, I've messed around with it. And they said, well, you'll learn. And so, yeah, so that started it. And I did learn kind of. I'm still learning. So I did that for a couple years. And then that same friend, Jeff, he was going overseas for a 2-year term. And he had an electric guitar. He had an Epiphone SG. And so he was trying to raise money. So I bought that from him. He sold it to me probably for way under what it was worth, you know, like $200 or something. With that's where I got the Zoom 505 pedal. He had that also. And then I was not, you know, I'd messed around with an acoustic here and there, but I took that down to Joplin, Missouri, and traded it in with some cash, and then I got my Ovation acoustic, and you know, was just trying to print off stuff from the internet to learn chords and songs. And one winter, I lived without a roommate and I had no TV, so that'll improve your skills a little bit if you've got nothing else to do. But yeah, so that's pretty much where I got my start.
So, you know, I've seen actually the things that you posted recently. A lot of the most recent stuff. Actually, I like some of that stuff where you're talking about what's been going on in the like in our guitar communities in general and stuff like that. But I also recall you doing some music videos as well, and you've got some really interesting guitars in your collection, if I remember correctly. Some that I really dig just knowing and seeing you play them. Um, Talk a little bit about your philosophy on what you think makes a good guitar for Snug specifically.
Well, I've always been kind of a make do guy. You learn what you know to use what you've got around you. So it was. So I've always had an acoustic. I mean, I've had an acoustic for 20 years, and I never really had any time I would pick up an electric before then. It was awkward, and you know, it was the strings are vastly different for these clumsy fingers. So it never really appealed to me. And I don't know, a year and a half ago, I got just the inkling to try. And so that's how I started watching YouTube videos on electric guitars, and that's kind of how it all started. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know that I wanted to invest in something that wasn't going to work out. So my quest was to find the best, cheapest guitar, you know. And so that's the first one was a birthday gift from my family with that Luck WBQ Strat, the one I just put the P94 in. You know, it was $75 on Amazon, and then it kind of felt good. And so then I kind of got the bug, and then there was that glary offset. You know, it was $65 on eBay, brand new, that I got for Father's Day, and that even felt better. So, yeah, I mean, as long as it feels good, that's you know, if something's awkward to hold, you're not going to want to hold it.
True.
And I don't know that I know enough to opine past that.
And that's actually a legit thing for a lot of guitarists. I mean, and it seems like there's like two camps really when you think about it. There is the super spec oriented, like they know exactly what fret radius, what their neck radius is. And then there's guys who are just like, I don't know, it's flat and it plays good, or it's too flat. I like one that's more round, but they can't tell you what amount of radius is comfortable for them. It's one of those. It's just a feel thing for me. And I
Yeah.
think the same goes with every other part of a guitar, from the the pickups themselves to string gauge to type of nut to the whole nine yards. I mean, I kind of feel like there's kind of two camps in our guitar world. It's very similar to camps of people who play like collectible trading card games. They're ones who want to get all the cards and put them in nice protective sleeves and never do anything with them. And then there's ones who have decks that are just battered because they played thousands of games with them. And that's not a knock on either camp, because it comes down to really what you find gives you the most satisfaction out of this particular hobby of ours, I should say. I don't think any of us really are in the professional level at this point. So we're all amateurs and hobbyists. But so what about you? What do you consider, what part of guitar playing really is what gives you the most from doing this hobby?
Oh, um, I you know I would say, yeah, ultimately it's being able to play with others, which I I think that's when you come out the most as a player. Um, that it's kind of like, I'm not a big sports guy, but the sports analogy is, you got to play with people that are good to become better yourself, and I think that holds true for music. Is somebody that's not going to just support you but push you, um, teach you something, and expose you to things that you didn't know, either something that you can learn or something you can learn about yourself. You are capable of doing this, or this, I actually like this kind of music, or whatever. So but it's also good just to, you had a rough day at work or something, and you can just come in and pick up a guitar and just noodle around a little bit, and it's easy to forget about anything else around you. I think that's a big thing too.
That's fair. That's fair. You talked about actually something that really is one of the things for me. Like, hey, I didn't know I liked this. So you told us about the kind of musical influences you're around, limited, but were around when you were growing up. But what about now? I mean, what does Snug listen to, and what does Snug want to play? Those are sometimes two totally different things.
I Yeah, well, let's see. So until I picked up the bass for the first time, I never thought about playing music myself. In middle school, there was a class called musical arts, where the people that weren't in band, and they weren't in, my school had a small orchestra class,
Hmm.
where if they weren't in choir,
Hmm.
you had to take music. So all the people with no musical ability dumped in there, and you learned a little bit about music history. You learned the notes on the keyboard, and so that was my musical journey through school. You learned to peck out something with your right hand on the keyboard, and that was about it. But my first cassette tape that my dad gave me, that was mine, was Chuck Berry's Greatest Hits. I'm pretty sure the first cassette I bought with my own money was, I want to say it was Billy Joel in An Innocent Man.
Okay.
And I was probably, it had been out for a while, but I was probably 12. And I had a little bit of cash, and it was at Walmart for $5 or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I like listening to music, but I was never one of those guys that, like, oh, I want to do this. When I was a kid. If
But
that
what about
if
now,
that if that
though? I
answers.
mean, it does. But what about now,
I think I'm so cynical and jaded that I know that I'll never, uh, I'll never be good enough. There are a few things that, like I like Tom Petty's music. There's very few Tom Petty songs that I can fake out on a guitar. Uh, my my favorite songwriter now is a guy named Andrew Peterson. He's in the Christian world, kind of a folk Americana type, and he writes some beautiful songs. And he's one of those that inspires me to want to do that. But he writes songs that are beyond me. You know, he's got a few that are simple, but most of them are I'm not able at the current level, and I don't know that I ever will. So I don't know. I think that's, yeah. I don't have big aspirations.
And that's completely fair, because it could just be, you know, for everybody, it's a different journey. You know, some people have that. Growing up, they want to, you know, to steal one of Chris's phrases, I still want to be a rock star. But
Right.
there's some people who just, the music isn't that to that level for them. That's just not where they're at. They want to be just a little bit better. They don't have that massive aspiration. They're just like, you know, today I'm just trying to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, without having like a set goal. Like, I want to get to this, or I want to get to that. But I think most people have at least some idea of, like, if I get to this level, I'll consider myself good enough, that sort of thing. Um, I mean, for myself, there's a couple of artists that influence me to the point where, if I can get to where I could play their easier stuff, then I'll consider, you know what, I'm okay. I feel like I've accomplished something there. And then I guess there's the lucky few who don't have any goal at all. They're just doing it just for the enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
Yeah. Right.
you know, I'm making noise that I like. So it's always fascinating to hear what somebody's, like I said, somebody's aspirations, somebody's goal, somebody's mindset of where they're at. And what would you say where would you say that you're at right now on your music journey? I mean, just
Oh,
take a moment and evaluate who Snug is right now.
hmm. Well, I would say I'm still very much at the start. You know, I've gotten off the starting line, but it's, you know, like that old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's racing the turtle. You know, the turtle's just loping along. Uh, I I don't know that, and part of this is my own hangups on how I see myself in general and whatnot, and I realize that, but I don't know that I would use the term intermediate. I think that's well ahead of me. I would still say I'm a beginner, and I don't know that I will ever not be a beginner.
Yeah, I know that
Fair or
feeling.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and for myself, yeah, I consider myself someone in that straddles that line between beginner and intermediate. So I know kind of exactly where kind of where you're
yeah.
coming from. Um, so, but that kind of that you said something that triggered a little bit in my mind there. You were talking about some self hangups there. What are your obstacles? What are your biggest struggles you have right now in, you know, your guitar playing?
Uh, well, I think they're self-imposed. Uh, you know, I'm not by nature. I'm not a musical person. I don't quite understand musical theory. It doesn't click easily with me, and so learning new things is hard for me. And I both recognize that as something to work past, and I use that as an excuse to not work past it. I think because learning and growing is hard work, and it's you know, immediately not rewarding. Whereas I can keep doing the things that I know how to do, and be fine within those constraints. You know, I can have fun in the kiddie pool,
Hmm.
but walking across the hot cement to get in the big pool, you know, well, that'll burn my feet, and it won't be fun while I'm burning my feet,
Yeah.
regardless of the fun I'll have when I get in there. So, and it's just a time, you know, but there was, you know, like I say, I've been playing for 20 years. Well, there's 10 years that I didn't play at all. I had little kids, and you got a granddaughter. They want to be involved. The idea is, oh yeah, I'm going to play my guitar, and my kids will sit there and listen. And no, they won't. They want to be up on your lap, and they want to touch the strings, and they want to turn it. And it was just easier to not fight that and just put it away for a while. And so if you're not playing, you're not getting any better. We're the same age pretty much, so it's harder and harder to learn things, and it's harder and harder to make my hands do what they're supposed to do. So
that's absolutely true there. So I guess that also brings us back around to the whole embracing the suck thing, especially what you were talking about, that effort it takes to go from beginner to intermediate. I really feel like that's maybe one of the hardest jumps. Obviously, I don't know about going for intermediate to expert because I'm not there, mind you. But from what I've heard from people who I would consider at that level, because when you go, and this is just for me, when you're building up to that beginner, you're learning and implementing new skills like on a daily basis. You're seeing that growth when you're that beginner, and that helps spur you and push you on, man. It's like, wow, I'm getting better, and then you get to that edge of going from beginner to intermediate, and you hit a bit of a real wall, a real plateau where those gains don't come as quickly. And that's where you were talking about that wonderful analogy of, man, getting out of the kiddie pool and walking across that hot concrete to get over into the deeper pool. Is that, man, you get to that point where and I hate the grind mindset and the word grind, but it really is a grind. You got to push through a section where it's repetitive and repetitive, repetitive, because you go from the beginner mindset where you don't know anything and you're learning the skills. So now suddenly, oh, I got this new technique I can use here. I got this new chord I can use here. I got this new, and they aren't good, but they're new. So you're seeing them go up and go up and go up. But once you get to that, from beginner to intermediate, really is that muscle memory stage, that taking all the beginner stuff and making it automatic. And man, is that a pain in the butt to just do over and over and over again. So I'm with you on that. Is there anything along those lines that you've run into that you just either is man, I found this and it's great, or man, I have not found a solution for this?
Well, with me, it's pretty much a matter of just brute forcing things into my head and using them. And I mean, that's a struggle. So I don't understand, oh, you just add the fifth or you play the sixth. I need a diagram of where I put my fingers and where on the guitar that they go and what strings I strum and and it's that sort of thing. So I could probably put in the work and read a book and do things of learning why these chords work with this or this note or this, but then you watch these videos and people are talking about the different scales, and there's, the Ionian and the pentatonic and all that stuff. I don't understand any of that. I probably could, but at what point am I benefiting from it? And again, it's kind of like, I know I'm doing myself a disservice because I don't take the advice I give to other people. When other people are, oh, I'm learning a guitar, I say, well, these are the things that you do. Learn your scales, get the fretboard down, learn that. Well, I still haven't done that, because it's hard.
It is.
And it's really hard. And, especially going from the bass to the guitar, those extra two strings are just like, they're outer space. It should be easier for me to learn those two, and especially since one of them's the same as the top one. But making that leap in my mind it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I tell you, that whole situation with the what you're talking about with the learning, I could go out and learn a little bit of this here, but then I see all this other stuff that has to be learned, and it's actually one of those. I think it's one of those other parts that's hard to go from beginner to intermediate, is because as a beginner, you don't know a lot, but you have no idea how
Yeah.
much you don't know. Once you get kind of to
Yes.
that end of the beginner scale, you realize the vastness of, oh my God, I don't know any of this. And it's a daunting
Right.
task. And it's like, where do you start? Where do you dive in? And the biggest thing is it's different for everyone. Is there's not like a universal start here, do this, do that, because we're all different. It's a creative art. It's not a, I mean, there's
Yeah.
some science to it, but it's creative. And swing it back around into that creative section there. Um,
Oh,
is there,
well, okay.
yeah, no, go ahead. I was gonna find a better prompt for you, but I think you already know where I'm going with that. So go ahead and answer what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say here.
Well, I started out writing was my kind of my first hobby. When I was a little kid, I would write short stories or things like that, and then I kind of dipped my toes in the early internet into what I thought were little humorous essays or whatever. So I'm lyrics have always kind of just been a natural progression from writing. I don't. My mind doesn't think in terms of harmonies and melodies and things like that. But what'll happen is I'll get a little phrase in my head. And case in point, the song I wrote for my wife. I'm balding, and when it rains, if I don't wear a ball cap, the first thing I'll notice is that cold water hitting my bald spot. So I had this phrase, raindrops on my bald spot, that just stuck in my head, and I couldn't get rid of it. And so that's I think where my creative process comes. It's this turn of a phrase or an idea that it just kind of sticks in my craw, and I've got to do something with it. Now, the hard thing is if it actually does go somewhere, then I've got to put music to it, and that's the hard part, because that's just so much work for me, because I don't I can't hear music in my head like some people can. And it's like when I was in high school, I had a friend, Matt, who was a math genius, and I always struggled with math. And people have told me that math and music are very closely related, and that maybe explains part of my problem. But I would go to him for help, and he could not help me, because he could just look at a problem and see the answer, but he couldn't explain how he got the answer or help me get to that answer. And he would get frustrated because I couldn't see what he saw. I would get frustrated because he couldn't help me. And so when, I've tried coming up with things on the guitar and then working backwards from that, and I have had no success. I've never come up with a little ditty and then worked. It's the songs that I've written have started out as poetry or just random phrases that I've pieced together into some sort of structure, and then trial and error, and from working from what I know, applying music to that, which is horribly inefficient, but that's my process. The first songs that I wrote in college, or when I was with my buddy Jeff, is I would take him these sheets, and he studied music in school, so he would try to teach me about song structure and all that stuff. But eventually, he would just take it and then come back. Here's what I've got, and he would play music to it, and that's a far better system than what I've got going now. But I don't have anybody write that like that right now, so
Right.
so it's just yeah.
Yeah, and I, what I think that really depends. Really, everybody's basis for where they came from is what usually becomes the basis for their own creativity. Like for you, it's you didn't start out in the actual musical realm. You started more in the writing. So for you, your songs start with the lyrics, and that's understandable because you start with what you know and you work from there. And there's some folks who grew up with playing piano off the bat,
Yeah.
or when they were younger, or whatever. Like I had a very my elementary was set up identical to yours. We had a actually I won't say identical. We did not have a band, but we had orchestra, we had choir, and instead of a band, we had a handbell choir. And obviously,
Oh,
if
okay.
you weren't in any of those three, then you were in the general music program. I happened to. I
Yeah.
started actually in
Yeah.
all three. Um, I started with cello, sang in the choir, and played handbells. I was one of the larger kids, so I was one that played the bass, the bells, because they're heavier than the others. But it actually got stuck in my craw that I had to, all of those, like all three of those were during the PE segments. So I didn't get a chance to go out and play sports and games and stuff like that. So I even dropped one of those just so that I could have some
Oh.
time to go out. Um, and then I didn't pick up guitar until I was 16, 15, 16 years old. So, but I had all the other musical in the back because I sang in choir
Mm.
for forever, and the handbell all the way through the elementary school. But then once I got to like when I got to junior high, I dropped music completely. I didn't. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm free. I'm free. I can go do something else for a while, because it I didn't realize that it was a important part of my creative process. But when I get back into when I do my writing, um, oddly enough, mine usually also starts with lyrics because, like I said, I didn't have that early um, hardcore personal focus on music. It was later in my teens and 20s when I first really started to get into playing, especially with guitar. But I did a lot more writing than I did at that time. So I think that really is the thing. It's like, which was what was your creative focus when you were the youngest tends to stick with us as we move forward.
Yeah, I see that. I think that's also because you get some sort of return for your effort, and it's easier to, okay, well, I've had success, however you want to judge that, in this area before, so I know I can probably succeed there again, however you want to define that. So yeah, I think that is important. Whether you let that trap you or you use that as a springboard, that's everybody's personal decision to make, I guess.
Exactly. All right, so I guess the next question really is, we've talked about where Snug came from and where Snug is at. Where does Snug want to be? What do you where do you want to go on this journey that we're on?
I think if I could, yeah, I don't know. I don't think about where I'm going necessarily or where I want to be. Uh, I would like I would like my kids to experience what music can do for them before they're in their mid 20s. Like what happened with me. Uh, and especially since I think my kids have musical talent, but they just don't care for it all that much. My son, we put him in piano lessons when he was younger, and he just took to it instantly. But he got to that point where he couldn't just learn it and not practice, and developing those new skills. And then he lost interest because now it was work and it was getting harder, which is frustrating.
Hmm.
Um, he's in band, and he's a freshman in high school this year. So he's in band, but he's in percussion, which he likes. So that's something. My daughter's shown interest in the guitar, but again, she likes to master things quickly, and if she can't, she gets really frustrated. So kind of keeping her from getting upset because it doesn't just click right away is definitely a challenge. She'll be 10 this year, so she's still really young. So hopefully that will come on its own. But I think it's just like, if I'd like to be able to express a truth or put words to something that other people relate with. I think that's the ultimate goal. I think that's true of anybody that tries to create anything. But yeah, I don't want to. I say I just mostly do it for myself, which is true. But I know what my voice sounds like in my head, and I don't need to keep that to myself. You know, I can. I know what I want to say to myself, and I say it to myself all the time. So if I can put something down and get something out that can connect with someone else, that would be a goal. But then not being so, it's the two-sided coin that I struggle with. Is one thinking, oh, this is going to be great. Why would somebody's going to hear this and think it's awesome? And why would anybody listen to something that you put out? And that war is always raging within me. And, you can guess which side usually wins. But also, just to not be, I don't know. I'd like to just grow, whatever that means. I'd like to just grow in my ability, grow in my confidence, grow in whatever. That would be my goal. However, and I haven't even defined that yet. So I don't know how well of an answer that is.
No, that actually, it's a major answer. So it sounds to me like your goal actually is to find your goal at this point. And
Yeah.
that is in and of itself a very noble pursuit. I mean, think about how long a lot of people spend their lives trying to figure out what is, what is it that they want? How many people have wasted their college years and the money for college? Well, I'm just trying to find myself, and they come
Yeah.
out of it still not knowing what they want to do with their lives and that sort of thing. And I think it's one of the most important aspects of just being a human, just being alive, is trying to figure out, well, where do I fit in? And that's just a general thing, in the world and the cosmos and everything. But as a creator and as a musician, where do I fit in with that? Because it's a whole nother subset of our existence. So yeah, that's a notable and important goal to have, is to figure out what is my goal.
Yeah. And if I can, encourage other people along the way, those years that I was raising kids and wasn't playing my bass, I gave my bass to my nephew. Now he just got a job as a music teacher in Missouri. He's got a baby on the way, and he's recording his own music, and he's way better than I'll ever be. The youth have a way of surpassing, which is the way of the world should work. But yeah, just to, if I can share something that I've got, this much ability in, to someone else that can just take that far beyond me, then I'm cool with that too, So.
Awesome. Well, Snug, I appreciate it. I feel like we know a lot more about who you are and where you're from and where you're going, even if you don't know personally exactly where you're going. We're all on these guitar journeys separately. It's all together once you think about it with the community. So, and from what I can see in the chat, everybody absolutely has just loved the chance to get to know you a little bit better and to see similarities in themselves as well. So, is there anything that you got coming up that you're trying to get done? Anything you want to plug real quick while here at the end?
I don't know about plug. There's I am working on a couple of songs that I just need to sit down and figure. I got one mostly done. It's just the problem is, getting it from paper to being recorded, and it's just kind of a silly song just on the bass. So I'd like to get it done in the next couple weeks and have it up. And then I've got another song that I've done a parody song to just kind of take issue with this local or this recent copyright issue thing. So it's an Eagles parody that I'm thinking, my channel is never going to be monetized and I've got nothing to lose. So I'm thinking about if I can do a decent enough job playing and singing, of putting it up. But it's a parody of Tequila Sunrise that I hope to have done, and maybe I'll put it up and see if see if anybody comes after me for nothing. So that's about it. Otherwise, I've got this. I'm analog, so I've got all these ideas and completed songs, and some of them are just, like I said, just phrases. And shoot, some of those phrases are 20 years old, but I keep circling back and then thinking, oh no, I've just got nothing on this yet. But it's on paper, and as long as it's on paper, the chance of me forgetting it in my head is great. So if I can get it on paper, it sticks around.
You just you went up about 40 notches in Brandy's opinion. I could make a lot of money if I took stock in a letter company, a paper company, and a pen company. She is an old school. We have notebooks all over this house. We have pens and paper everywhere. So you just went way up in her opinion right there.
Well, I'm an old guy, so trying to keep notes on a computer or a phone. I mean, I do. I use the note app on my phone, but only so I can take it out and then put it on actual paper later. But yeah, that has been handy because when I was in college, I had just one of those little notepads with the little you flip it like Columbo uses to take notes, and I would write stuff down, and then it'd be in my back pocket, and then getting home and then changing that, putting it on paper, lined notebook paper and things. So it is a little more handy having the digital phone app to jot ideas down. So I'm not completely 19th century, but close.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Brandy writes some of the most amazing stuff I've ever heard and read, I should say. She does write songs, but she's primarily an author. And man, if it works, don't mess with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go, everybody. There's a link to Snug's channel at the pinned up at the top of the chat. There's also going to be down in the description as well. And I want to thank you, Snug. Appreciate you giving me time on a Saturday afternoon. Especially
hey, I enjoyed.
Such a nice Saturday afternoon. We could be outside enjoying this weather, and instead we're in here talking about our guitar journeys.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's also we could be out mowing the grass. So,
so what you're saying is, yeah, you're happy to be here because you don't want to be where else you would need to be. I got it. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, I very much appreciate you coming on with me today, Snug. And everything you've just described there is literally about that whole embracing the suck philosophy. Some of us may want to embrace it a little harder. Others of us are a little bit hesitant, but we all have to do it if we want to grow. And really, it's all about being a better guitarist and, to be honest, a better person today than you were yesterday. And if you can say that you've done that, you've succeeded. And if you can't say that, there's always tomorrow. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Ubi, and I love that you're out here encouraging other people and giving them the tools, literally and figuratively, to do that, and it's awesome. So yeah, I've been blessed by being around this group, and it's encouraged me and inspired me, and the fact if somebody can get the same from something I've said, then great.
Awesome. Well, that's been the Embrace the Suck podcast, episode number 2. Next week, I'm not 100% sure who I've got coming on, but I guarantee somebody you're going to want to watch. I've got a couple people that I just need to figure out who is going to be the one that's available. So I want to thank everybody for watching us today. Don't forget, we do have a Patreon that supports everything that we do. It's down in the description. There's also a free tier. At least jump on that. If not, you can possibly find yourself on this list of people that's about to come up on the screen here. Our paid members. And I want to point out a special thing on our paid members in there. You will notice that there is a new front row member, or members, I should say, because they've gotten together to become members of our channel. But thanks to the fun international exchange rates, they paid slightly more than the rest of the front row members. So they're getting first billing. That's why they're on the far left there. But if you see your name up there and you have paid, then that is awesome. If you have not paid, or if you have paid and you don't see your name up there, let me know. But just to run really quick, thank you to Shanty M and Charles, who are our new front row members. The rest of them still the same group of wonderful people who have been supporting the channel. And hopefully you guys can continue to support it. And more importantly, though, whether you support the channel financially or not, show up, because embracing the suck is the important part, and being part of my guitar journey and allowing me to be part of your guitar journey is such an important thing. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. I swear I got through the whole thing without screwing anything up until the very end. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. We will see you on our next stream.